Welcome. My name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr., and I was born July 4th, 1986. I want to say thank you for tuning in to try to figure out some more about your dog. Because something I want to talk about today that comes down to the simple basics of what we're primarily doing when it comes down to, like training the dogs. In most cases, the dogs are trying to communicate something to us, and we're coming in to train the dog to make the dog figure out how not to be able to communicate to us effectively anymore. And something simple I want to talk about up front is something that pretty much, not everybody, but a lot of people are having issues with the dog with. Such as, my dog is jumping on me. How do I get my dog to stop jumping on me? And we can get on this YouTube and watch like thousands of videos for thousands of hours of how to get my dog to stop jumping on me. As opposed to like figuring out, why is that dog jumping? That dog is jumping because it's trying to talk to you. It's trying to say something to you. It's trying to communicate something to you. It's trying to say, hey, I got something I need to do, and I need you to help me figure out how to be able to get that done. I want to be able to go here, do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. So the dog is trying to speak to us to say, let's do something. As opposed to like just saying, like the dog is just being said like disrespect or disobedience in some sort of way. No, the dog is trying to communicate. That's where we run into the situation that majority of every single technique that we use to get the dog to stop jumping on us, as opposed to giving that dog what it actually just needs so that the dog will stop jumping later on, is we'll put the leash on the dog and just give that dog a snap. We'll hit the dog, punch the dog, do something to the dog, knee the dog, do whatever to the dog. Or we'll go to the point of using the treats. The dog is sitting, is calm, we'll give the dog a treat. And it works short term, especially with the treats. If you give the dog the pressure, it's going to work, because now it's going to work because the dog is now put into a level of like, it's scared. But that's where we run into a scenario that the dog gets nervous to try to ask you for anything anymore. So that's where the dog thinks that it starts to have to like do things on its own without saying, hey, let's do this together. Such as, hey, I got to go potty. Now the dog is going to be basically nervous to like go to you to say, hey, I got to go potty. Because the last time it tried to ask you something, you basically just like punished the dog. You discipline the dog in a way that is just way overboard for just the dog just saying like, hey, I want to do something. Like, I want to make something happen. So the dog is going to get it in its feelings basically of like, I don't want to come to you for any sort of assistance, because you're just going to you're going to push me down. I know there's some big old snakes over there. I hope that's not what you're looking at. It was two. They were huge snakes. They're like running and playing with each other. We gotta train her on some snake prevention. But the dog is jumping in a sense of trying to say that, and then we're just sitting here punishing it. So the dog thinks and gets in his brain of, if I have a need, don't go to you, because you're just going to punish me on all my needs. And this comes down to pretty much everything. But if the dog is pulling on the leash, why is the dog pulling on the leash? The dog's pulling on the leash because it's trying to like go to get to something, smell something, do this, or do that. As opposed to just letting the dog be able to do that, the dog is going to continue to keep on pulling, because it has nothing from you to think that you are paying any attention to it. And if it comes back to try to ask you, you're just going to punish the dog. So the dog's like, oh, okay. So that's where we come in quick with that leash. We'll put that prong on that dog and say, no, don't pull anymore. And that dog's like, okay, well, I'm not going to ask for anything else that I need from this. And then this is where the complications usually always happen, because now that the dog doesn't feel it has in its mind that it can come to us to ask us for things, and it starts to do things on its own, that's when it starts to chew up the whole house. That's when it starts to move you, starts to guard you from your own things in your own home. Starts to just not be I don't want to say it more affectionate with you, but just wanting to be like nowhere near you anymore. Where it's just always constantly just running away. You move, it's just running away. It's got nothing to do with you. That's a dog that it just starts to pace the whole house. It's just moving. It's moving. It's because it thinks that it's got to do it all on its own. And then when the dog is pacing, the dog is chewing all your stuff up, the dog is digging holes in your backyard, and then you come at that dog and basically discipline that dog. No. And the dog's like, well, you're not allowing me to do any of this. You're not doing anything to help me be able to get this energy out, this drive out of me. So what the heck am I supposed to do now? This is just stuff that I want people to think about with these dogs, as opposed to thinking like, my dog is jumping and how do I get it to stop? Start asking like, well, maybe the dog is trying to say something to you. The dog is trying to explain something to you. The dog is pacing, going crazy, panting, all huffing and puffing. The dog is trying to say something to you. The dog is trying to explain something. It's trying to communicate to you. But the main thing is, I don't think that a lot of us are really like thinking that far into this. We're just like, my dog is doing this. I don't like it. How do I stop it? As opposed to, my dog is trying to say something to me. What is it that he's trying to say to me so that we can get it to stop if that's something that you don't like, so that we can get it to do something somewhere else that we do like, so that dog is going to be able to be good to go. And this is the concept of listening and paying attention and not just going and just saying, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do, this is where I need it to be. Because that's where the unfortunate thing is, not everybody, but a lot of y'all are struggling with your dogs because we come in with just saying, I don't like that, that's not going to happen, and that's it, and that's over, and that's finished. And that's going to give you a sort of level of success in some things. But that's where the dogs are only just getting pushed and pushed, and we need more and more pressure. Because the dogs are just getting to that point that it's like, well, you're not listening, so I'm just going to do. And then when they just do, and depending on what they're doing, if they have to do it because they feel like it's their last ditch to be able to do it, it's going to look crazy. So I work with many of the dogs, because I don't know what this is, but it happens a lot at nighttime in a lot of people's households. That the dogs at night just go ballistic, man. They're jumping. Everyone calls it the zoomies, right? That's not what I'm going to say is an appropriate term to use for such a thing. That is something that is very, very, in my opinion, how I see it today, very damaging for dogs to be in, because they have all this energy that they're just at this last ditch resort at night of just going wild. They're just letting it all out and running and sprinting and going crazy because they didn't get nothing all day. So they're doing it all on their own. Since they didn't get it from you, you weren't listening to them to give them their needs, to do anything for them, and you've punished every little thing else that they can do. They do that. And for whatever reason, we as humans, oh, that's so funny, it's so cute, look at them go, look at them go. So the dog is just going to keep doing it harder and harder and harder with every day, because we're like, it's just funny, this is cute. As opposed to looking at it like, maybe this is something that's very, very damaging to my dog, because my dog is it's getting worse and worse. Because in most cases, what starts to happen is that's where if you got more than one dog in your household, that's where the fights really start to happen. Because the dogs are just wild and extra, and then they start to wrestle, and then it's just it starts to escalate. That happens one time, now we got tension in the household. It's like, whoa, what's going on? We never used to have this tension, but the main thing is we're just not listening to what these dogs are saying. The dogs are saying something. The dog is jumping on you, saying, hey, let's go do something. Let's go make something happen. So the dog is jumping to try to fast track that, where we can work with the dog to get it to let that down once you start to show it what we're going to do. Such as, let's go out for a walk and go do something. It's like, put the leash on the dog, let's go out, let's make something happen. Then the dog's like, okay, well, I don't need to like jump and do that so much anymore. Now I can just sit there and look at you and say, are we gonna do something? And you're like, okay, well, let's go do that now. And then we just move on and we just make that happen. So that the dog gets out of that of, let's go, let's go, let's go, and it starts to realize, oh, we're gonna do that. So it's not so exciting anymore. But the main thing is we're getting to the point that we're like basically punishing the communication line away from the dog. So the dog thinks that it can't come to you for any help. The dog can't come to you for anything. The dog's got to go potty. It's like, I'm not gonna go speak to him and try to ask him. I'm gonna go do it over here in the back corner by myself and try to just hide it and try to get away with it, because I can't go to them because they're just gonna punish me for going to them. The dog is like, I want to go for a run. I want to go for exercise. I want to go play. I want to do something. I can't go and ask them, because if I ask them, then they're just gonna punish me, and I'm not gonna get anything anyways. And I'd rather just deal with it, and then I'll just deal with it, is what the dog's going to end up doing in the end, as opposed to coming in to have any sort of communication with you. So most of the stuff that we're like, we don't like, that we're doing things of like correcting the dogs, or we're trying to stop the dogs from doing, it's a dog trying to open a line of communication up to us. And the more that we shut that line of communication down, that's where you're getting more and more problems with your dog later on, where it's like, oh, it's just a simple jump today, and we said fix the jump by like doing whatever method you want to do, in reality, with how pretty much every dog training thing on this on this YouTube is going to say, to how to get a dog to stop jumping. Where I'm going to be one to say, I don't think I've even heard anyone even say this. This is stuff that I've heard other people say, but I haven't seen it on YouTube yet. How to get your dog to stop jumping. Listen to your dog, understand what your dog is looking for, and give that dog what you're looking for, and that dog will stop jumping. I've seen this work with all of my dogs, because all of my dogs really don't jump, even though I let them. And my border collie is the one that he'll jump on, because I encourage the heck out of it with them, because we just do what we do. But this one, I even allowed her to start doing it, thinking like, oh, it's okay. But she's just rough with it. And I don't rough play with dogs like that. So I never even said to her, I don't want you to jumping. I just said, what do you want? What are you looking for? What do you need? Because she now will come to me and say, okay, this is what I want to do. She'll literally come and just sit at me. And she's like, okay, let's go do something. And then we can go ahead and we go do it. She stopped the jumping because I was looking at her and I said, okay, you want something? Okay, let's go do something. As opposed to me coming at her and just saying, okay, let me give you leash pressure to snap your neck a little bit to get you to stop jumping on me, or give you a treat to get you to stop jumping on me. It's going to make our relationship be really confusing, because she's going to look at me like, well, I want to go and run, or let's make it simple. I got to go potty. And she's going to come to me and I got to go potty. She's jumping. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's go get the treat. So let's do this game right here. So she's like, I got to go potty. Why are we doing this sit with this treat stuff right now? I got to go to the bathroom. And she's trying to explain that to me. And I'm just not paying any attention, because I'm just doing I'm telling you, this is what I want. This is what you got to do. And then I'm just giving her treat after treat after treat after treat, and the dog's like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we doing this? And then the dog is just gonna keep jumping because it's still not getting what it's actually like trying to communicate to you to do. It's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So you can go through this for an hour playing with these treats and you get frustrated, this isn't working, this isn't going anywhere. Because you're not listening to what the dog is coming to you to try to ask you for. The dog is saying, I have to something, and we're just throwing a treat at it. And the dog's like, that's not what I want. What I want is that. And so we're gonna only get ourselves into a higher level of confusion. Same thing with majority of all this stuff. With the dog pulling on leash, and you're gonna give the dog a treat to stop the dog from pulling on the leash. The dog is pulling on the leash, and the dog's like, that's a scary looking spider. What are you giving me these treats for? I want to go do this. And the dog would like the treat. That's why you're like basically getting nowhere. You're getting nowhere over and over every single day because the dog's like, I want to go smell that, but you're giving me this treat, restricting me from I just simply want to go smell that. That's all that I'm looking for right now. So we're getting to the point that we're not allowing the dog to be able to do that. So that's why it's like we're not getting any better day by day by day. And the same thing that I could say with the dog wanting to, we got dog reactivity today. The dog wants to go play with that other dog. It wants to go meet that other dog. It wants to go do something with that other dog. And we're going to give that dog a treat. And the dog's like, the treat, but I want to go play with dog. You're giving me a treat. Like, what's going on here? And that's going to just amplify the dog more and more and more. The dog is going to just continue to keep on getting more and more and more and more and more amped up because it's like treat, I want to treat, I want to treat, I want to, and or leash pressure, I want to, but what's going on? And that's just going to put the dog in that extreme level of confusion. And that confusion is just what's damaging to us. And the main thing, it starts with us not listening to what the dog is simply doing. And when the dog is trying to simply communicate to us, we look at it as something that the dog is doing bad, is doing wrong. Like the dog is being a negative in my life, as opposed to the dog trying to explain to you what it is that it's looking for. And a lot of just what we're doing is just I don't know what it is about how this dog training stuff works. I still listen to many people's consultations like very, very often. Not so much as daily anymore, but we can just come in and say, oh, the dog's jumping, the dog's pulling. Okay, we're going to do this, and this. As opposed to like, why the heck is the dog doing that? Because if we're not addressing that, we're only just messing up our relationship with the dog. Where the dog is only looking at us in a sense that it's just like, it's unsure of what to do. It's unsure of, if I get close to them, what's going to happen? If I ask them to do this, what's going to happen? If I go over here and do this, what's going to happen? Because pretty much all this stuff is, they're just trying to say, hey, I want to something, can we just do that? And if you just give them that, you're going to watch like the things just start to disappear. You give the dog the exercise because like what this dog does in the house, when she hasn't been running for much, she starts jumping on stuff. She's jumping. She's saying, I got something I need to do. Now, if I come at this dog and say to her in that house and put an e-collar on her when she jumps on a coffee table and give her something to get off the table, get off the couch, get out of here, get off of this, go to this, sit in the crate and do nothing. I didn't address any of the issues with her saying to me, let's go do something. I got to do something. So when I see that she's jumping on the couch, I'm like, okay, well, let's go in the backyard. Let's go in the front yard. Let's go do something. Let's go run. Let's go explore. Let's go make something happen. And then she's like, okay, you listen to me. So now I don't need to jump on the couch because I don't need to, like I said, get your attention. When she's like, I got to go potty, and she gets to, she's clever with it. She gets to whining. She does a little whine. And I'm like, this dog don't ever really make much noises. She doesn't really bark too much. She doesn't do that. So she gets to whining. And I can look at her when she gets to whine and say, hey, stop that. Shut up. Be quiet. You shouldn't be making any noise. And then she's like, man, I got to go to the bathroom though. And then if I just would ignore that and just didn't do anything about that, then she's going to know, okay, this isn't working. So what happens when it goes from that whine and she is unable to basically communicate to me? She's going to go to a bark. And then she's going to keep escalating more and more and more. And it's only going to continue to keep on like looking worse and worse and worse. Come back up. Come back over here, girl. You're going to pull Kahi. Oop, you're going to pull Kahi over. Let me get my telephone. It's only just going to continue to keep on getting worse and worse and worse. And it's going to look to me as worse, but to her as just saying, hey, I got something. I need something. I got to do something. Stay on this side, girl. I got to do something. So if I just get moving up front to just realize what it is that she's looking for, I'm saying, okay, this is what's going on. Because here's the problem that I think a lot of people run into that I used to with my dogs is they will, for instance, put in the belt like the whining to go potty. So she could be whining and then you take her out thinking, oh, she has to go potty, and you go out there and she does nothing at all. Then you're like, okay, what's going on? But this is the part where you have to like not get in your thoughts of like, well, now she's just like using me, I guess I can say. Now she's just whines and I this and whines and I do that. It's now that we go out, we got to figure out, okay, now what is it that you actually wanted to do? What is it that you actually are looking for? Because a lot of times, I don't know what it is, but a dog can simply just start whining because it simply just wants to sit outside. That's all that it wants to do, is just sit outside and just hang out outside. That's all. It doesn't even want to do anything. It doesn't want to sniff nothing, run nothing. It just wants to sit outside. I've seen this from so many dogs. That's all they want it to do, is just hang out. But they were inside and they're like, I'm getting a little stuffy, getting a little muggy. I just want to sit in some fresh air real quick. And they just want to be out there. Not that they even, because there's one thing, when one of my first dogs I had, that I got one of these automatic doggy doors, that she wouldn't go out. She would just sit inside, looking outside, just because out the door, because she could smell the air outside, but she just wanted to sit inside. She just wanted to like be in the world out there, but she still wanted to be close to me, but she just wanted to like be outside. And it's something that a lot of dogs just have, that they just want to be out there. That's what they were looking for. Not that they had to go potty, they wanted to go run, that's just it. But we have to like slow down and just like look at that for a moment. A lot of these dogs, because that's probably a very frustrating thing that a lot of y'all get, that my dog is whining and I get up and I get outside and it doesn't potty, it doesn't do nothing. But the main thing is we need to like slow our world down to just figure things out, because the dogs are trying to ask us for things all the time. And the dogs are just, they're looking for stuff all the time. And if we're just always completely ignoring everything that they're doing, and or we're punishing everything that's going on with them, that's where we're running into the dogs that are just what appear to be very disrespectful. And in most cases, that's the time when you hire the trainer. And then the trainer comes in and starts to do things that are even said more disrespectful to the dog, that don't listen to him even more. And then the dog has to go to the point of absolute just wildness. And that's where they start biting. They start going even crazier, man. They go crazy because they're asking over and over and over, I need something, I need something, I need something. And we're just like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And or if you need something, well, I'm just gonna punish you because you need something. I'm gonna punish you because you want to do something. I'm gonna punish you because because we just don't have communication. And that's what's really jamming us up with these dogs. The dogs are asking all the time, why? And we need to figure out why and what is going on with them, so that we can be able to get them to that place, so that they can be able to get what they need, so that we don't need to be in this battle anymore. And a lot of it starts with us just looking at these behaviors that we said don't like. I don't like that my dog is pacing around in the house. I don't like that my dog is barking out the front door. I don't like that my dog is jumping on me. I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. And all those that you don't like are the things of the dog that are literally trying to look at you and say to you, hey, this is what I need. This is what I need. This is what I need. And we're just completely ignoring every single one of those things. And that's where it bleeds us into a huge amount of chaos with these animals, because the animals are trying to talk and we're not listening. So the dog's like, okay, well, I'll try over here next time to get you to pay attention to what I need. And then we're still not listening. And that's just what's leading us further and further into just conflict and division. So the dog just has it in it that I can't talk to you. I can't communicate with you. And so I got to do it on my own. And when the dogs start doing stuff on their own, that's when it's bad. And then we come in with more and more and more disrespect. And this is something that I want some people to think about with all these like behaviors that you think that you don't like, especially the main one of the dog coming up to jumping on you. A dog jumping on you, that's something that I don't know if a lot of y'all know this, but that's a very vulnerable thing for a dog to do. The dog is exposing its whole body to you. The dog is showing a whole lot of trust to you. And it's something that we instantly are like, nope, I don't want you to do that. Stop doing that. And then the dog's like, well, I was trusting you. Now I don't know if I could trust you anymore. I was trusting you, but I don't know if I could trust you anymore, because you just punished me for like trying to explain something that I need to get going on right now. So then the dog thinks, and it loses that line of communication with you, of being able to say something. And these dogs are so smart that they'll come up with other ways to try to communicate to you. But it's a matter of us to be able to just listen to them and listen to what it is that they got going on, to listen to them, to figure out what it is that we need to do right now, as opposed to just punishing all these little things away, and or trying to come up with some games to try to get them away from what they want to do. Playing a game to get them away from a simple thing of a dog just wanting to go, because this is something that, again, is wild to me. If your dog is wanting to meet another dog because it wants to meet another dog, set it up so that it could do such a thing. We've got places all around this country and all around this world so that we can be able to do such a thing. Allow your dog to be able to do that. Allow your dog to be able to express that. Allow your dog to be able to have that. Now, if your dog is on the side that is scared and is trying to bark everybody away, then get it into your dog to know that, hey, I'll give you that space. I'll get you to get away. Allow your dog to be able to see that. Allow your dog to be able to have that. If your dog is pulling on the leash and is trying to get somewhere, figure out where the heck that dog's trying to go. Figure out what that dog is trying to do, and what is the end result where that dog finally like pulls and gets to something. Figure out what it's doing, as opposed to just punishing that dog and say, no, we can't do that. The dog is jumping all on. All this that we should just like be paying more attention to, of what are you trying to communicate? As opposed to, I want to punish this and not even care about what you're trying to say to me. Because that's what's very fascinating with me, with when I just really stopped a lot of the little silly things that I used to do, such as the concept of the jumping, for instance. If the dog is jumping on me, she's trying to say, hey, let's this. And I was like, okay, let's go do that. And then we do that, and then she stops doing that. When the dog is jumping and acting a fool in the house, I'm like, okay, well, what do you need? Oh, you need to run, you need some exercise, let's go do that. And she stops doing all of that. The dog is whining and going and acting like a fool. I'm like, oh, you got to go potty? Let's go potty. And then she stops whining because now she can just look at me. And I'm like, oh, okay, you want to go outside? Let's go outside. And we go outside, and it's no problem. But I already have everything set up that we don't have potty things anymore. They know that they're going to get a chance to. So they're just like, I'll just wait because we're going to go at some point anyways. So we no longer get into that. But she just wanted to know that she could communicate that to me if she needed to. Like this morning, it was early. It was like 6 o'clock. First time in a long while. But I gave her food at a different time and a little extra in a different way of different kind of food yesterday. So she had to go to the bathroom earlier. So she was whining. She was like, I got to go. And I'm like, let's go. Okay, let's go outside. She goes outside. She goes poo real quick. And I'm like, okay. So she knows how to be able to communicate to me. And she knows how to not abuse that at the same time. Because she doesn't need to. Because she knows that she's going to be able to get a chance to be able to do and have what it is that she needs by being able to talk to me. I mean, not like literally talk, but communicate is the thing. A lot of us as humans think that we can only communicate by only speaking words to each other. But it's our bodies that speak way more than anything that's going on about what our actual full communication is with each other. And a lot of that starts with these simple dogs. That I don't need to speak English or any language to these dogs to understand what's going on. I need to see what they're doing to say, okay, that's what I need to make happen. Because that's something that, I mean, goes on with a lot of babies. And a lot of people raised and been around babies before. The baby crying, what's the baby need? The baby's not looking at you like, well, I'd really like it if you were this, this, and this. No, you got to like troubleshoot this out. You got to figure it out. The baby's crying. You're like, okay, you got some gas. You got this. You got a diaper. You're hungry. You're thirsty. Like, what's happening? What's going on? You just want some new clothes. You want a new atmosphere. You want to go for a run. You want to walk. You want to go for a car ride. You got to figure all this out. You can't just ask it. Just say, what do you need? What's going on? No, you got to troubleshoot this all through. And that's the same concept with these dogs, but for some reason, we don't look at it that way. We look at it like, oh, the baby crying is some people do this. It is what it is. I get to it at a certain age with a kid, but I'm not going to let no 2-month-old just cry. Just stick it in the closet and just let it get over it. It'll figure it out. No, it's got something going on. But that's what we do with dogs. The dog is jumping on you. Let's stick it in the closet and let's not care anything about what's going on with it and just let's move through this. As opposed to like figuring out what's going on. What's happening? Let's troubleshoot some things first before we decide to say like punish the dog and or get like try to, this way of saying it, redirect the dog into doing something different. That's not actually what the dog is looking for. Because in most cases, the stuff that we're doing, like for instance, if your dog is jumping and you give it treats to try to get to stop jumping and it's still jumping, that's not what the dog's looking for. Like I just want to say that so someone can just hear that. That's not what the dog's looking for. If your dog is pulling on leash, and because all these methods, you could try them all out. Because that's why most people aren't getting success, but you're thinking that you're not doing it right or something with it, but they all work if that's what the dog is looking for. So if the dog is pulling on leash and you have a treat and you give the dog a treat, and the dog learns to stop pulling on leash all the time with giving them that treat every time, then that's what the dog is looking for. It wants the food. But if the dog is still pulling and you're still like going through this like every walk like over and over and over, it's not getting any better, that's not what the dog is looking for. So give the dog what the dog is looking for and you're going to see that go away. All these things work that way. And if you're, this is the thing that I'm going to say with both of those, with the treats and with using leash pressure. If you're constantly having to keep giving your dog leash pressure after leash pressure to get your dog from stop pulling, to go smell stuff, to go get on stuff, it's because the leash pressure isn't communicating to that dog what it is that you're actually looking for. The dog is still wanting to do something, but we're trying to stop the dog from doing something that the dog is trying to do, and the dog is trying to say to you, I want to do this. And the dog's like, oh, okay, well, okay, I want to. It just keeps going back and forth. If it doesn't fix the dog from stop doing it in 1 or 2 goes, then that's clearly not what the dog was looking for. The dog was looking to do something else. But yet we just want to think like we're going to keep working on this year after year after year for it to get better. And that's something that it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And that's why most people, you're still stuck in like needing more and more and more. More treats, better treats, change the treats. More toys, better toys, change the toys. More pressure, this collar, this collar, this collar, this system. You just keep going more and more and more. Because we're not giving the dog what the dog is actually looking for. We're not communicating to the dog. The dog is trying its best to speak to us all day, all day. It's trying to, hey, let's do this. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. Hey, I need this. And it's not stuff that's like wild. It's not stuff that's like crazy. It's not a lot that the dogs are looking for. It's not like unrealistic what the dogs are looking for. It's not outrageous what the dogs are asking for from us. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's stuff that is super, super simple. It's even like this. This girl, she's sitting here staring right at me. And she just wants some pets right now. That's all she's looking for right now. She's like, okay, this is just what I need. This is what I want. She's staring at me. She's communicating with me this whole time. Probably like the past 10 minutes or so. She's just been sitting here staring dead at me. And at some point, if I don't do nothing, she'll start to do what next? Start jumping on me. What to do next? If I don't touch her or I tell her to get off me from jumping on her, she'll do something more and more and more and more and more to get my attention, to try to communicate to me what it is that she's looking for. And that's what's always going on. Because the dog will come up to, but they're so fast. This is the problem, that we don't see it at first when the dogs are jumping on us. They'll come to us and they'll usually like have a pause, a hesitation. And if you would just pet that dog before it even gets to that jump, it doesn't need to go to that jump because it got what it was looking for. And if that, then giving it pet wasn't what it was looking for, then it's that next step. What are we going? What are we going to do? What do we need to make happen so that we can be able to allow you to be able to understand that I know what you're looking for. So when you do this, then we do that. So you no longer need to do this so that we can just go ahead and make that happen. So we don't need to do this weirdness anymore. But the dogs are speaking to us, and they're speaking to us in such a way that is so that it is clear once you start to just sit back and start to pay attention to them. But it's not clear when we're just like looking off everywhere else, like just, oh, I don't care, and oh, I don't care, and oh, I don't care. It's not clear. But it's really clear when you start to really just get real in tune with the dog. And here, even if she starts to get too pushy with me, I'll just deny her access. Say, you know, you had enough there. And now I'm going to move on to do something else. But I saw what you wanted in that moment. And that's what you're going to get in that moment right there. I see what you're looking for. But we're not going to sit in this for 5 hours if you don't have time to sit in it for 5 hours. But you want to give them enough. Giving them enough. Let them know that I see you. As opposed to just pushing them away or shoving them off or yelling or doing anything. You want to be able to let them know that you see them. You understand them. And then here, when she's like, I'm going to start to be a little pushy about it, then, you know, that's just a dog being a dog at the end of the day. When you start to eat your ice cream, don't you want a little bit more? Because I know I do. I don't know what it is about ice cream, but we could just keep eating that. It's kind of creepy how you could just keep eating more and more and more of it. Like certain cakes and certain things, you kind of just max out. But ice cream, we can just keep eating. Don't you want more? When you go get you some cookies, don't you just want one more cookie? When you're eating your chips, don't you just want one more chip? That's life. But you have to like understand how to, like, I guess I say, regulate yourself on how much. And that's what I do with the dogs the same way. Regulate on how much. I know you want pets, but you know, we get so much, and then we got to cut that off sometimes. And sometimes we can have a little bit more because we did a little bit more. I go down to eating some food. You can have a little more chips today because you did a little bit more work to be able to like get more chips today. But as far as it just all over, you can't just keep going more and more and more into it. But we need to be able to understand how to be able to effectively communicate and how to effectively see the dogs that are trying to communicate to us. Because most of these things that we're looking at our dogs are saying that we don't like, it's stuff that the dog is simply trying to say, hey, I need to do something. And then we punish them. And then the dog's like, I can't talk to you no more then. I don't even want to try to come to talk to you. Because all you're going to do is just yell at me, be mean to me, or do something savage to me, or do something crazy to me. So the dog's like, oh, okay, I'll just go do my own thing over here. And then when it does its own thing, it just keeps going. This is just a cycle that I just keep on seeing. And something I was just thinking about on this walk coming up here today is just thinking about these dogs that are constantly trying to ask us for things. And then we're just sitting out here constantly like, no, not listening to them. No, don't do that. No, get out of here. No, get off of me. No, don't this. No, sit over here. No, stop pulling. No, get out of here. No, stop this. No, don't do that. No, don't chew on this. No, chew on that. No, go over here. It's just like the dog's like, what the heck is happening? What is happening? When it's trying to simply communicate to us what it's looking for. And we're just saying no all day long to it. Something I want a lot of people to just think about with these dogs and how smart they are with figuring out how to be able to communicate to us, but how silly and like not so street smart we are as humans on being able to just understand the needs of someone. Not needing words, but just being able to look at them to be able to understand what we need to do based on like what we're seeing is actually happening. Like when someone's like, you know, everything is all great, but you can see it in their body that they're really not. So there's no reason to like just, I don't even know what to say in that right there without making it get too deep. But just understand that what is being said verbally is maybe not everything that's actually going on. It's paying attention to like the body and what's happening. Because the dogs are showing us that all day long. Their body is in a certain way of saying something. And if we're not giving their needs based on what they're saying, then they have to go to the next, and then the next. But if we just listen up front right away, we would run into a situation that the dog doesn't need to go to that next. Now we don't need to go to that fight. We don't need to go to that battle. We don't need to go to that weird strangeness. We don't need to go to the whole house chewed up. We don't need to go to the point that they need to start biting you. We can just go to the point that the dog is just simply looking at you and just saying, Okay, let's go for a walk. Oh, you're pulling, and they look back. Okay, I'll let you smell. Let's just smell that real quick. Oh, you want to go? You want to go run? Okay, let's go run. Or you want to go? You want to go meet the dogs today? Let's go to the park. Let's go meet the dogs. Oh, you want to stay the heck away from the dogs? Okay, let's stay over here then. Let's just get away from the dogs. Or you want to go meet people? Oh, let's go meet people. Figure out what the dog is looking for, and then you're going to be able to realize like how all the said majority of like dog training type stuff will just disappear from life. I don't need to correct the dog for this. I don't need to punish the dog for this. I don't need to give the treats for this. I don't need to give the treats for that. You're just going to look at the dog, and the dog's going to say, I wanted this. And you're just like, oh, okay, let's do that. Thank you. These dogs at the end of the day are very simple. But they're very simple only when you're willing to just pay attention to them and understand that they're dogs. And dogs do dog stuff. Dogs chew on stuff. Dogs dig stuff. Dogs run and play. Dogs do wild things. They jump. They're hyper. They're chill. They're dogs. And dogs that do dog things, we can't think that we're gonna do human things to them to get them to try to pay attention to us. And that's what we're in reality doing, is doing human stuff as opposed to doing dog stuff. And I get it that some of the human concepts will work with these dogs, but they communicate to us like a dog. They don't communicate to us like a human. You don't just come up to another human and just hugging all on them and to try to get like to start that communication line. No, the dog do that. But we as humans are like, oh, I'll do this and do this and do this and do this, and then I'll talk to you. And it's like, we can't do that with dogs. We got to understand that dogs are dogs. And when we understand that dogs are dogs, we're going to understand how to communicate effectively to dogs. Don't talk to the dog like it's a human. Talk to the dog like a dog. And a lot of dogs will be able to talk to you like a dog so that you can simplify your life.